We actually have options for today at pitcher and MLB DFS, and they kind of don't suck. So let's get set for tonight's slate of MLB DFS by taking your questions live on air for the next half an hour. This is the FanDuel Live Q&A right here on the FanDuel YouTube, Twitch, Facebook, and Twitter channels. My name is Jim Sonis. I am a senior writer and analyst for numberFire.com, here to take your questions live on air for the next half an hour to get you set for Thursday night's main slate of MLB DFS. As always, no matter where you are watching, you can get your questions in. We'll take them from YouTube in the chat section, also via Twitch, Twitter, and Facebook. You can get those questions in. We'll get you set for tonight's slate of MLB DFS. We can talk pitchers, stacks, one-offs, MLB DFS process, whatever is on your mind, it is on the table for today. And it's a pretty fun slate. So let's pull the pitching pool here over at FanDuel.com. Walker Buehler versus Anthony DeSclafani, kind of the headlining overall matchup. But to me, the top pitcher on the board is actually Sean Manaea down here at $9,100. And a big part of the reason why I like Manaea is his matchup. He's facing the Seattle Mariners. They are a high strikeout team versus lefties, 27% strikeout rate and a low WRC plus at 92. That is a matchup we can take advantage of from a DFS perspective. Plenty of strikeouts to be had. We saw Manaea in this matchup earlier on. It was, I think, about 6 starts ago. So not close enough to be too familiar with him, but he was really good. He went 9 shutout innings, 8 strikeouts in that game. Really impressive showing for Manaea there. Actually, it was back on June 2nd. Manaea had that start. So it's been a while. No familiarity there. That's good. He had 11 strikeouts versus the Yankees. So Manaea pitching really well right now. And I think it's pretty legit. We've seen a lot of pitchers take steps back with the stickiness discussion. We've seen spin rates go down. And Manaea is a guy with a low spin rate to begin with. And his spin rate, it has changed recently. It hasn't always been constant. But the good thing here that I like is that we've seen his velocity go up. On the four-seam fastball specifically, we can see here, there was a spike for him back on May 28th, 92.5 miles per hour since then. He's also been throwing his off-speed pitch. It is classified as a curveball, baseball savant, a slider at Fangraphs. I think it looks more like a slider personally, but especially recently, he's been throwing a bit harder. So to me, I think that Manaea is super enticing, and I'm into it. So to me, when I'm filling out a lineup, if I have one, I am starting off with Manaea as my pitcher. So we're talking about stacks. That's kind of the context to which I'm viewing things for today. I got Charlie Morton, number 2, and then Walker Buehler, number 3. Let's start the questions off over on YouTube by talking to Alvin. He says, I know the Rays are your top stack, but would you rank the Twins over the Braves or Red Sox for a stack? I would not personally, because I just feel like those teams are in better situations. I think the Twins work. The reason I'm a bit lower on them, and not low on them, a bit lower on them relative to the Braves and the Red Sox, is they're facing a higher strikeout starter. They're facing Andrew Heaney. And Heaney is going to get strikeouts, 27% strikeout rate for him. This is over his past 7 starts with less movement on his four-seam fastball. 27% strikeout rate. He is still letting up hard contact. So the Twins work from a stacking perspective. You can go to Nelson Cruz, Josh Donaldson, Jorge Polanco, all those guys. Mitch Garver's on the paternity list, so no Mitch Garver for tonight. Congrats to him and his wife on that. But I do still think those other guys are in play. I just would rather stack the Braves and the Red Sox because I'd expect them to get more balls in play for tonight. And they are also facing teams that are facing pitchers that will let up impactful contact as well. So to me, it's Rays 1, Braves 2, Red Sox 3. I think the Twins are probably 5. I don't recall who I had above them earlier on. It was the Cardinals. I had the Cardinals above them too. So the Cardinals, I guess you could go either way with that one. The Cardinals probably won't get as much hard contact as the Twins. So you could put the Twins 4th, I guess I would say. But I do think that I do think that I would rather go with those other 3 teams above them. So yeah, I think that's the way that I'm viewing things from a ranking perspective for the stacks for today. Renee over on YouTube. This is a fun one, Renee. Appreciate it. You are 0 for 365 with me. Whatever you recommend, I'll do the opposite. Lost too much money listening to you. So Renee is saying to fade. Okay, so let's pick out some good picks for Renee to fade. I would fade Shaman Naya. I would fade Charlie Morton. I'd fade Walker Buehler. If you do that, you're going to win some money. So good for you, Renee. Good luck for you for tonight. Hope it goes well for you. It's been a rough week, not going to lie. There's certainly been some bumps, so I get it. But the good thing is, Renee, if you're losing money, I am too, because I use my own recommendations. So, hey, at least you got that going for you. You can at least have some schadenfreude when that does happen for sure. So we talked about the top stacks for today. Let's see if any of those teams have the lineups out. I see the Braves do have theirs, so we can probably talk about them. The Rays have theirs out as well, and the Red Sox have theirs. And okay, so let's go with the Rays first, because they are the top stack for me. Brandon Lau batting leadoff. We have Austin Meadows batting fourth. Joey Wendell fifth. Wendell has been in a bit of a rut recently, so let's dig into his batted ball data of late and see if it's something we should be wary of buying into, or if we can buy low on Wendell for today. Game log here for Wendell. Let's go to StatCast, and I'm going to look at his numbers. Let's do from July 1st on to see what things have looked like for him there. In that time, a lot of ground balls for Wendell. He does have just 4 hard hit balls. So to me, I do think that it's probably okay to be skeptical of Wendell right now based on the way things have gone. So if I'm filling out an optimal Rays stack for today, I'm probably trying to skip over Wendell, but I do like Lau. So let's go over here. Let's put Lau in at... So I want to stack the Braves too. So I'm going to put Lau in the outfield as opposed to second base. Let's put Meadows in the outfield here. And is there no Ji-Man Choi today? Oh, that's a bummer. No Ji-Man Choi for the Rays. I was hoping to use him. Appears I will not be able to do so. So let's go with Arozarena because we want the stolen base upside. Also a lot of power in general for Arozarena recently. And I guess then it'd probably be Wander Franco versus Wendell. And, Franco has not had the best introduction to the big league so far. Let's check out the batted ball numbers here. Still no extra base hits for him versus righties. So I guess the power hasn't been there as of yet. So let's check out the barrel percentage, 4.9% barrel rate. That's not great either. So it's definitely not super encouraging to see no Choi in there for the Rays. But I think if I had to choose between Franco and Wendell, I would probably lean Franco. So let's put Franco in there at shortstop. If we do that, $3,600 left per batter. That's not too bad. So I think that this would work out pretty well. I am on board with the Rays for today. And I think this would probably be the optimal 4-man stack. The top 4 guys in the order, I think that works out pretty well. Franco above Wendell, but they're in the same tier. Lau, Meadows, the 2 no-brainers. I think Arozarena is probably in a second tier by himself. Then we get down to Wendell and to Franco after that. Let's go over here and talk to Meditation Power Unlocked. Interesting name. I like it. Okay, they're asking your thoughts on Luis Patino at pitcher for the Rays. Patino's pretty fun, honestly, getting called up from AAA for today. He has a good enough pitch count for us to feel good about him, because he went 94 pitches back on July 2nd. That's always my concern with a lot of the Rays guys, is that they don't always go super deep into games, but it does seem like they are okay letting Patino go deeper. He's gone 80 and 90 pitches in his 2 starts in AAA since he got sent back down. The sample here on Patino is over his past 4 outings with a pitch count of more than 50 pitches. He's been pretty good. 3.60 skill interactive ERA, 27% strikeout rate, low walk rate, low hard hit rate. Facing Cleveland for tonight, I would say that Meditation Power Unlocked, we'll call you MPU, a deviant of the MCU we'll go with here. MPU, I would say that he's a consideration for me. I'd rank him below those guys we discussed before. So Patino, the salary on him is $5,700. The only reason that I don't care too much about the salary is that I know salary is not going to be a huge issue for me tonight because the Rays are so low salary, because Minaya and Morton are pretty low salaried. So not a big needle mover for me that Patino's salary is so low, but I think that he's an option for today for sure. So if you like him, I am on board with that, and I think he's worth considering at least. Kyle, do you prefer a combination of Morton at pitcher and Austin Riley at third base, or Maeda at pitcher and Devers at third base? For me, the tiebreaker is always going to come down to pitcher. And it's actually not a tiebreaker here. I think that it's pretty easily in favor of Morton and Riley for me. And that's not anything about Kenta Maeda. I think Kenta Maeda has been awesome. This is since he came back from the IL. 6 starts for Kenta Maeda in that time. 3.68 skill interactive ERA. 32% strikeout rate. No hard contact allowed, basically. He's been awesome. But he is facing a pretty good offense in the Angels. They are not a big strikeout team, so that does lower things for me. Morton facing the Phillies, they strike out about the same rate as the Angels do, but a lower WRC plus, a lower ISO, no Shohei Ohtani in the Phillies lineup. So I would say to me, it's Morton and Riley over Maeda and Devers. Again, not because of Maeda himself, more so due to the matchup with a lower strikeout, really good Angels team. Let's see here. Diffuse. Oh, wow. It's really a shame. Rene Diaz. I won 10 grand 2 months ago, thanks in part to this guy. I mean, like everyone, it's not a you problem. I wouldn't say it happens for sure. It's not their issue, but Diffuse, I am glad you got the 10K and I'm glad that went well for you. Diffuse. Are the Braves grading out well for you as a stack or better for one-offs? So I think that they're a great stack. I really like the way the lineup worked out for today. I think Ozzy Albies is a superstar. Definitely want to get there. Riley and Swanson, good righties. And Guillermo Heredia batting 6th for them, I think is a positive because I think he's $2,600. Let's pull up that salary here. Yeah, $2,500. I don't think I'll need that. But let's say you want to go with a Red Sox stack, or if you want to go Bueller, something like that, where you're needing to save salary, Heredia definitely does work from that perspective. I think to me, I'm just going to load up on the studs on this Atlanta team because I'm most likely pairing them with a Rays stack. So it's actually not too bad to get to Freddie Freeman. I know that it's a lefty, but Freeman versus lefties, pretty good option here. 173 ISO versus lefties, 38% fly ball rate, enough hard contact, not too many strikeouts. I think that all works. So I would say Freeman worth getting to, despite the fact it is a lefty on a lefty matchup. So let's go with Freeman here. He's not the top priority. I think the top priority to me is Ozzy Albies. So we'll go Albies there. And then we're going to go Swanson and Riley. And if we do that, we're going to be around $29.75. That is so doable with the Rays' salaries where they're at. We've got Austin Meadows, Brandon Lau around the lower salary guys. So I think that this works out well. I see that Jerry has his home run call in. He wants Freddie Freeman, and that is the Jerry special. Lefty on lefty, and Jerry, I could not agree with you more. I think that Freddie Freeman, if you're looking for like a under the radar type home run call for tonight, because it's lefty on lefty, I think that Freeman, a great way to go. Jerry also likes Randy Arozarena for tonight. No objections here. I am on board with Jerry's picks for today. Let's go back to Alvin over on YouTube. Would you go Walls over Franco to differentiate? Interesting question. I actually think that that's a viable consideration. So let's pull up the Rays numbers here versus righties. I believe Walls is batting 9th. Okay, so 9th for today. The results for Walls so far this year have not been good. If I recall correctly, I think his slash line is pretty gross. However, the peripherals are not as bad. You see here a 35% fly ball rate, 41% hard hit rate. That's not the baseball savant hard hit rates. Let's go over here and check out his barrel numbers over at Fangraphs. And his barrel rate, 3.9%, is not super high, but his hard hit rate, which is the percentage of balls with an exit velocity of 95 plus miles per hour, that is high at 39%. So he's had good batted ball data. You see here that he's due for some upward regression based on his peripherals. So I don't think that's out of consideration, Alvin. The only reason I might not go there personally is just because I'm not going to need the salary savings that Walls gets me. $2,100 is great. So like, let's say you want to go Bueller and you want to stack the Red Sox with the Rays and you need that salary savings. Walls is a consideration because he's making enough impactful contact. We can't consider him for today. So I don't think that's a bad idea personally. I could see that for sure, especially given Franco probably going to be popular and hasn't had the best peripheral numbers so far. I don't think that's a bad idea at all, personally. All right, Michael's making his or asking for home run picks for today. There's no Cal for today, but Joy is thinking about some Yankees. So let's go over here and check out who we should like. The Yankees facing Tanner Houck. Doesn't let up a ton of fly balls. Joy, I think, was trying to get to DJ LeMahieu, and we cursed him apparently because he got hurt. So we're gonna try to avoid the stick. That's not Joy. That's DJ LeMahieu for being rough. That's there. So if we're trying to pick a Yankee, I would go Giancarlo. For me, I'm gonna step in for Cal since Cal's not here for today. I'll be embody the spirit of Cal for this home run pick. Trying to figure out what Cal would do. I feel like Cal would try to get different. He'd want to go with a Marlin. So let's go Adam Duvall for the Marlins for Cal. So we're going to go with Giancarlo Stanton for Joy, and I will make a proxy pick of Adam Duvall for Cal. Still no Marlins lineup yet as of yet. So we'll see if Duvall is in there. Jerry is asking, how do you feel about the Atlanta, Boston, and Tampa Bay stack? I love all of them. Those are my top 3 stacks for today, Jerry. We are on the same page with the Freeman call for home runs. Same page with all these stacks. I'm into it, Jerry. I think that you're on the right path for today. Let's talk to Kenneth over on YouTube. How do you feel about Zach Thompson as an option for tonight? So I would note first that it's not official that Zach Thompson is starting. I've been refreshing the Marlins probable pitcher page like all day. I've been searching Twitter to try to figure out who is their starter for today. They've not officially announced Thompson. I think it will be Thompson. So my assumption is Ben Thompson for the full time. I don't know officially if he will start. I have him on my sheets. Let's look at Zach Thompson here. This is over his, what's the sample here? It is, okay, so in his first start, didn't use his curveball as much and used more sinkers. So this is over his past 5 starts, tossing out that first start, 32% strikeout rate, 3.30 skill interactive ERA. He's been good. The reason I probably won't get to Thompson for tonight, again, assuming he is a starter for tonight, is that he's facing a team that doesn't get many doesn't strike out much, a 22% strikeout rate, good team overall. And again, I think the salary is kind of high for today too at $9,400. Salary to me is no issue for tonight because I've got so many low salaried hitters I want to use, but it's still just kind of a bit higher than I would hope it would be. I think Thompson's awesome. I love the strikeouts. I just don't know if the matchup is good enough. And also, his pitch count is kind of shaky. He's gone 91, but he's also been under 80 in 3 of his other past 5 starts. So I think pitch count combined with matchup and salary is enough for me to keep me off Zach Thompson, but he's good enough where I don't want to stack against him, despite the fact his batted ball data is not necessarily elite. So good question there, Kenneth. I think that he's a good person to at least discuss. Let's talk to Josh over on YouTube. Worst pitcher on the slate. I don't want to say worse because all these guys are in the big leagues. So kudos to them for making it. That's awesome. I think we should, I always get like nervous about talking bad about them because like they made it to the big leagues. That's awesome. Good for them. The pitcher I am most willing to stack against, we'll phrase it that way to try to be nice, I would say is Cal Quantrill for Cleveland facing the Rays. Quantrill, when he was in the bullpen, and then when he was first in the rotation, and he had lower pitch counts, was suppressing hard contact. Over the past 6 starts, since his pitch count got above 60, he's not doing that anymore. 47% hard hit rate allowed. That does include a game against the Pirates where he allowed, I think, like 3 hard hit balls the entire night. So he had that one really good game, but still overall a rough sample with a 47% hard hit rate allowed, low strikeout rate. So to me, that says we should be willing to stack against it. Doesn't hurt the Rays are really good. 109 WRC plus versus righties. They hit the ball in the air, they hit for power, and they get a park factor upgrade today in leaving Tampa Bay. So if I'm identifying the pitcher I'm most willing to stack against, that guy is Cal Quantrill for tonight. Let's go over to YouTube and talk to Alvin. Last question, how do you make that table again over on Fangraphs? Okay, so we haven't done this in a while, so good timing on that question, Alvin. What he's referring to is this table here, looking at the numbers for each batter versus righties this year. So what you do, you go to the split. First of all, toggle active roster because you want to make sure that you have the guys who are currently on that team. That's relevant for the Braves because they've got Jock Peterson. If you look at their overall season sample, you're not going to see Jock Peterson on there. So you want to toggle active roster to get the guys who are currently on that team. Then you go to the splits and change that to versus righties. I put minimum plate appearances as 0 so I can see everyone who's currently on the active roster and see what they are doing. So you do that first, and then I do 2021 alone by itself. Then what you do is you scroll down here. Custom leaderboards, you can pick the stats that you have. So let's say you want age on there. I think the age is interesting for sure. So you can click age and click it over to the right, and then you have it there. You can also just get rid of it there. So you kind of just pick the stats that you want. For me, I focus on the stats that stabilize quickly and that give me upside. So that means looking at isolated slugging, looking at stolen bases, looking at strikeout rate and walk rate because they stabilize so quickly. I have WRC Plus on there just because it can give me a tell on results. I don't value WRC Plus that much when it's a small sample as we have here versus righties versus lefties. So WRC Plus is on there, but I'm not going to factor it in too much just because it is pretty noisy in these small samples. Fly ball rate also key because I want guys who have chances to hit home runs. So you go over here to the custom leaderboards, pick the stats you want. If you want the lines in here, go to the top and select line break and then shove that over to the right and then put it wherever you want it. That'll kind of cordon things off. I want to have the big ones here and then plate discipline, batted ball data, and stolen bases as well. So that's what the reason that I do that there is to give me a good read on upside. But just go to, if you go to team batting stats, that's where I would go first. So let's go over here actually. Team batting stats, and then click on 2021. Let's show you each team's batting stats overall this year. I'll click active roster. I will go, oopsies, did not want third base. Let's go back there. And then change the split to versus righties, or lefties, whichever you want. And then go over here and change the stats that you want, and that'll give you the key. Then once you make your custom list, you can click on San Diego Padres, and it'll show you the same table with all the guys who qualify there. So it's a really helpful tool. I would recommend doing it based on the stats you want to emphasize. These are the ones I want to emphasize, and it does make my research a lot easier to see everything that I care about in one click. Jerry has a second lefty on lefty home run call for tonight. He wants Jock Peterson for tonight against Matt Moore. Moore is not a high strikeout guy versus lefties, so Jerry's all in on the Braves. I like it, Jerry. I am there as well. I think Peterson would grade out below Heredia for me among the non-Albies, Swanson, Riley tier, and Freeman as well, despite it being lefty on lefty. But I think like Peterson's still worth some exposure if you're multi-entry for tournaments because people may gloss over him due to the lefty on lefty stuff. I would note that his numbers take a pretty decent hit versus lefties, whereas Freeman's aren't as bad. But I think that it's he's still worth a look for tonight. Let's talk to Diffuse. I was hoping to use Mitch Garver tonight, but since that won't be happening, how would you rank the Twins righties? Again, congrats to Mitch Garver. Considering the nature of his injury, I'm glad that he's got a kid. Like that's helpful because that was a scary injury. Glad that he got that out of the way. Beforehand, the Twins for today, I haven't seen their lineup as of yet. No lineup yet for the Twins. I would say Nelson Cruz 1, Josh Donaldson 2, Jorge Polanco 3, and then it's a pretty big drop-off after that for the Twins. I think the Twins are better for like a mini stack, 3-man stack, or one-offs, focusing just on those 3 guys. Cruz, Donaldson, Polanco, because the other guys aren't as good and may struggle against a high strikeout pitcher like Heaney. Let's talk to Josh over on YouTube. The Braves and the Rays are the top 2 projected roster rate stacks. Who is your number 3? So if the Braves and the Rays are number 1, I actually think the Red Sox might be more popular than those 2 teams, or I've seen a lot of buzz around Boston for today. It's just judging based on the content that I've read. That's kind of where I'm getting the gauge of popularity. So I think Boston will be up there too. Twins have gotten some buzz as well. So if we're looking for like an under the radar stack, I think probably the Cardinals work out pretty well from the perspective of they're probably not going to get a lot of buzz. not the highest implied total, facing a non-terrible pitcher. I think also has a pretty good pitcher, a guy I've used in DFS this year, but since he's come back, not using his slider as much, and it's led to a lot of hard contacts. If you're looking for like an under-the-radar type stack, Josh, I would check out the Cardinals. I think that they could be a good one just because we probably won't see too many people go their way. So if you want under the radar, I would say Cardinals for me. Let's talk to William over on Facebook. Do you think that Kwang Kim can get 5 strikeouts versus the Cubs? Kim's been struggling. It's over his past 7 starts with more four-seam, with less movement on his four-seam fastball. Just a 16% strikeout rate. So I wouldn't take the under there, but I'm also not betting the over. I think it's a stay away for me. Let's talk to Austin Swaim. He's going to be hosting our UFC podcast tomorrow morning. He is mid-UFC prep. This is over on Twitch. Christian Vazquez is his home run call for today. Let's see if the Red Sox lineup is out as of yet. He's batting 6th, so that's good. I could see that. I think that if I'm going Red Sox, hard not to go with Hunter Renfroe or JD Martinez, but Christian Vazquez, if you want a sneaky one, Austin is on Christian Vazquez for tonight. Check out the numberFire Daily Fantasy Podcast feed tomorrow morning for Austin's UFC preview. Jerry is asking, are you in on Manaea? Very much so, yes. I think that he is tremendous. Talked about it before at the beginning of the show. Manaea, increased velocity recently, increased strikeouts, good matchup against Seattle, 92 WRC plus, 27% strikeout rate. I think he's phenomenal. He is my number one guy at pitcher for tonight. $9,100 saves you a lot of salary. So I think that Manaea, a tremendous option. Jerry, we are just 100% locked in, same page between the two of us for today. Alvin, do I pick from the left side stats I want or right? So going back over here to the Fangraphs thing, you take let's say you don't have Woba and you want Woba on there, or let's go line drive rate. I don't really want line drive rate, but let's say you want line drive rate. You would go here and then toggle that to the right. So the stats that you want on your table are the ones here on the right. If there's a stat that's not on the right that you want there, scroll over to the left, find over there, get it to the right. If there's a stat on the right that you don't want from like their default table, highlight it and click the X button. That'll get rid of it. And that'll get it there. So the stats you want are on the right, Alvin, and the stats you want to select from are on the left. Let's talk to DJ. Kim, Heaney, or Flexen, and then stack Cleveland, San Diego, or Oakland. I'm not really into any of those 3 pitchers tonight. Kim and Flexen, both pretty low strikeout guys. I want more strikeouts. Heaney does get strikeouts, but he lets up a lot of hard contact. So I get worried there. Another question from DJ asking about Blake Snell. His form is just so bad. I really can't. I know the matchup is tremendous. Like the Marlins got kind of wrecked by John Lester this week, which is not great. So he could do well. I am okay missing out though, because I feel so good about Morton, Manaea, and Buehler. I feel really good about those guys. I'd put Patino above him as well. I got a question about Patino from John over on YouTube. I do think that I would rank Patino above him as well. I can't get to Blake Snell with how bad the form is. As far as John's question on Patino, I think that he's an option for sure. The one reason that I was not super itchy to get there is pitch count is a little bit of a concern. I know that he did go 94 back on July 2nd. So I do think that he can go long. I'm just not super trustful of the Rays. Cleveland getting healthier with Franco being back as well. So Patino, I think, is a consideration for me, John. I'm just probably not going to get there for tonight because I do worry about, a couple factors that may work against Patino for today. I think he's a talented pitcher, and I think that I hope that they let him go deep in games because I'd like to use him down the road. But it's just a tougher one for me to fully get there. Let's finish up here with Tim. Talk some betting. Tim over on Facebook is saying the Angels and the Mariners are decent money line picks. Mariners facing Sean Manaea. So let's check out what their money line is. I like Manaea a lot, so I'm probably not going to get there. But let's see what the money line is. Flex have been pitching pretty well, so I can understand from that perspective. Mariners only plus 124. I probably wouldn't get there personally. The Angels, I should say. Angels facing Kenta Maeda. Their money line is plus. Where is Heaney? Plus 126. If I had to pick between those two, I'd probably pick the Angels money line just because Heaney can have games where he beats out. So I would say the Angels between those two. Personally, not there with either one, but I think that does make sense. And let's talk to Jerry over on Facebook. Cleveland is banged up offensively, aren't they? Yeah, they did lose Eddie Rosario. They lost a couple of guys recently. Jose Ramirez is there. Ahmed Rosario is there. They got Franco back, Bobby Bradley, Harold Ramirez. So, like, the top 6 guys are still there outside of Eddie Rosario. So I think that they're healthy enough to be fine and healthy enough where I'm not going to bump Patino up. I'm okay using guys against Cleveland. I used Lance McCullers last night, but I think that I'm okay being a tiny bit lower in Patino just because of the factors there. But I think he's a consideration. Again, I'm not going to talk you out of him by any means. Just not going to be in my player pool for today. And then DJ was asking if I answered the last stack question. I probably missed it, DJ, so let me scroll up here to see. Oh, you asked about Cleveland, San Diego, or Oakland. Okay, so sorry, missed that, DJ. My bad. San Diego facing potentially Zach Thompson. I've not seen a confirmation that it's Zach Thompson. If it is Thompson, I would not stack San Diego. He gets a lot of strikeouts. He lets apart contact, but also gets a lot of strikeouts, so I wouldn't go there. If it's a bullpen game, yes, because their bullpen is pretty beat up. And Jordan Holloway, I'd be okay stacking against 2 in case they call him up from AAA. Cleveland, I don't want to stack them because Patino is pretty good. I know I'd mentioned I'm probably not going to get to Patino, but I also definitely don't want to stack against him because he's good. Oakland, facing Flexen. Flexen has pitched pretty well. Doesn't get a lot of strikeouts, though. So I think that if I were to pick one of those teams, DJ, I would stack Oakland. But those 3 teams not super high on my list for today for me personally. That is all that we have here for today for the FanDuel Live Q&A. But we're going to close up shop tomorrow right here. Same place, same time. 4 p.m. Eastern on the FanDuel YouTube, Twitch, Facebook, and Twitter pages. So make sure you tune in then and get your questions answered. Also, make sure you're subscribed on the FanDuel YouTube, Twitch, Facebook, or Twitter pages to get notifications as we go live each and every day. If you have more questions for me, I am on Twitter at JimSonnes, JimSannes. Big thank you to Joy Affleck for running the video side of things here for today. Thank you, Joy, as always. And thank you to everyone for tuning in. Good luck to you tonight. We'll talk to you once again tomorrow. This has been the FanDuel Live Q&A.